Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are going to completely flip the script on how you view body fat. For so long, we've thought of fat as, well, nothing more than a lazy storage unit. But we're going to see how science is proving that, under the right conditions, your body fat can actually be transformed into a literal calorie-burning furnace.
Real quick, here's our roadmap for today. 1. Not all fat is equal. 2. The science of fat browning. 3. The power of cold exposure. 4. Movement, meals, and metabolism. And 5. Putting it all together. Let's dive right in.
Not all fat is equal. The storage versus the furnace. So let's look at the very real metabolic struggle millions face daily and how the answer might just lie in the specific type of fat we carry. Because there is a stark contrast here. We've got white adipose tissue, which is what we typically picture when we think of body fat. It's basically an energy reservoir that holds on to calories for later. But then we have brown fat. And this is the absolute star of our show today. Brown fat is a calorie-burning furnace that generates heat through a process called thermogenesis. Now, what's truly amazing is a third type called beige fat. This is everyday white fat that has heroically transformed, taking on brown-like characteristics, packing in way more mitochondria, and actually gaining the ability to burn energy.
0.1 to 0.5%. I mean, that sounds totally insignificant, right? That tiny fraction represents the total brown fat in an average adult's body mass. But do not let that size fool you. This tiny percentage packs an incredible density of mitochondrial power. In fact, studies in humans show that people with higher brown fat activity tend to have much better glucose tolerance, improved insulin sensitivity, and lower risks for cardiometabolic conditions. It's essentially a tiny biological engine with a massive, massive metabolic impact.
Section 2. The science of fat browning. Waking up the cellular power plants. To really understand how this works, we have to talk about thermogenesis. Honestly, it's the ultimate biological magic trick. In a normal cell, mitochondria produce ATP, which is stored energy. But brown fat contains something called uncoupling protein 1, or UCP1. Basically, UCP1 allows protons to leak across the mitochondrial membrane, and instead of storing that energy, it just completely dissipates it as heat. Think of it like revving a car engine while you're parked in neutral. You aren't moving forward, but you're definitely burning gas and generating a ton of heat. It takes the calories we consume and literally vents them off, increasing your energy expenditure even while you are completely at rest. Okay, so the million-dollar question: how do we actually tell our bodies to do this? Well, environmental and physical stress act as the ultimate catalysts. Chronic cold exposure stimulates your nervous system to release norepinephrine, and that directly drives UCP1 expression. Then, when your muscles contract during a workout, they release a signaling molecule called irisin, which promotes the browning of white fat. And finally, metabolic stress from your diet or the cold releases FG21 from your liver, which enhances the birth of entirely new mitochondria. The big takeaway: consistent biological signals over weeks literally force your white fat to gain these brown thermogenic characteristics.
Section 3. The power of cold exposure. The ultimate catalyst.
You don't need dangerous extremes like full-on ice baths to get results here. Mild, consistent environmental stress is actually the most direct way to recruit your brown fat. Research shows that just lowering your thermostat to 66 degrees Fahrenheit, that's roughly 19 degrees Celsius, for just 2 hours a day can increase beige fat formation. From there, you can graduate to ending your daily shower with maybe 30 to 60 seconds of cool water, or just taking a brisk walk outside in a t-shirt during the fall. It's all about gradual progression that helps your body adapt and keeps the discomfort to a minimum. And get this, timing actually matters. Think about your morning routine for a second. For men in particular, morning cold exposure appears significantly more beneficial. The science points to our natural circadian rhythms affecting our thermogenic capacity at different times of the day. Now, interestingly enough, the data notes that women tend to show a more consistent response across any time of day. But either way, by aligning your cold exposure with your body's internal clock, you might unlock even greater thermogenic potential. Section 4. Movement, meals, and metabolism. Fueling the fire. You know that intense rush of heat or those sudden sweats you get from eating really spicy food? Well, that is your diet literally mimicking the effects of cold exposure. These everyday foods contain bioactive compounds that tap into the exact same molecular pathways. Capsaicin from chili peppers totally stimulates brown fat activity. EGCG in green tea has proven thermogenic effects. We've got resveratrol in grapes, activating browning pathways, berberine, ursolic acid in apple peels, and yes, even the caffeine in your morning coffee can enhance your brown fat's glucose uptake and heat production. Just by incorporating these whole foods, you're biologically supercharging your thermogenesis.
Of course, we can't forget movement. Aerobic exercise and high-intensity interval training, HIIT, specifically elevate those irisin levels we talked about earlier. Meanwhile, resistance training preserves the muscle mass that keeps your baseline metabolic rate running hot. You want to make this even better? Try taking those workouts into a cooler environment. Going for a run on a crisp winter morning combines the mechanical stimulus from the exercise with the thermal stress from the cold. That powerfully offsets the natural decline of brown fat that usually happens as we age.
Section 5. Putting it all together. A practical framework.
Look, consistency and safety are absolutely crucial here. Transforming white fat to beige fat takes weeks of patience. We're talking about literal tissue remodeling, not some overnight magic pill. This absolutely has to complement your health fundamentals like balanced eating and regular movement. Also, a quick but important reality check. If you have cardiovascular or respiratory issues, please avoid advanced cold exposure without talking to your doctor first. Oh, and finally, don't ignore your sleep. Poor sleep and circadian disruption will totally wreck the hormonal signals that make this entire fat browning process work.
To really win here, you want to optimize by stacking your habits. It's a total game changer. Try finishing a hard workout and then stepping into a cooler environment as your body cools down. Or strategically eat meals featuring those thermogenic ingredients, like a spicy dish or a strong green tea, right after physical activity. When you thoughtfully stack these habits, you are constantly sending the signal to your body to adapt, supporting its natural capacity for highly efficient energy use.
We've seen today how a simple change in temperature, diet, and movement can literally reprogram your fat cells, which really begs the question, if your body holds these hidden biological switches, what other scientific secrets are just waiting to be unlocked? To answer that, you don't need a PhD. You just need academicjobs.com. It's the premier platform to find cutting-edge scientific research translated for the real world, written for the average person. I highly recommend checking it out to fuel your own learning journey. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.